And all the things in the Levitical system that render someone ritually impure are things that are unavoidable in life. They're not designed to teach the Israelites anything about how awful they are. They're designed to teach the Israelites how human they are and how other, non-human, how above human God is.
In this video, you will discover Dr. Michael Heiser's deep explanation of Leviticus 16, the mystery of Azazel, and the true meaning behind the two goats of the Day of Atonement. We explore ritual impurity, sacred space, and why Israel sent sign into the wilderness. A powerful look into biblical theology you've never heard before. Let's dive in.
Leviticus 16 we associate with the Day of Atonement because that is the chapter where the ritual ceremony is laid out and provided. Leviticus 16 and verse 8, again, we're familiar with the fact that Aaron is told to pick two goats. Again, they cast lots over the two goats. So we've got two goats. Aaron casts lots over them. One of the goats, again, if you did the reading for today, this is going to be familiar. Or if you just read Leviticus 16, one lot falls on a goat, and then that goat is for the Lord, for Yahweh. The Hebrew is I have in yellow here the preposition lamed, plus the name Yahweh, Ladonai. The other goat is lamed, and then another name. This goat is for Azazel. And scholars have wondered for quite some time, like, what in the world is going on here? Now, in Unseen Realm, and again, I give you resources to other sources about this, Azazel was a demon, not just in later Judaism, but he is a deity, to an Israelite mind, demonic figure of the wilderness. He's a wilderness entity, a god, a deity associated with the wilderness. He's not Yahweh. The wilderness is his domain. It's the bad place. It's the anti-Eden. The wilderness is not where Yahweh is. Yahweh is leading us through the wilderness to his land, to the land he is giving us, to the new Eden, the land that flows with milk and honey. But we're here in the wilderness, and we have these instructions for Leviticus 16, and we have these two goats. One of them is for Yahweh, the other one is for Azazel. Now, this has raised the question, well, is this a sacrifice? Do you have God telling the Israelites to sacrifice a goat to a different God? No. If you actually look through and read Leviticus 16, only one of the goats is sacrificed. Okay, there's one goat that is sacrificed, before I get there, there's one goat that is sacrificed to Yahweh. The blood of that goat is applied to the structure of the tabernacle. It's sprinkled on the mercy seat where the Ark of the Covenant is. This is the Day of Atonement. It actually has nothing to do with the forgiveness of any individual sins. What this does, and again, we did a whole podcast series on the book of Leviticus. You can listen to Leviticus 16 and really Leviticus 1 through about 7, the sacrifices there. The blood is never applied to people. There are only two exceptions where blood is applied to people. And they have to do with the priesthood, sanctifying the priesthood, because they will occupy sacred space and perform various rituals to protect Yahweh's turf, to protect sacred space from defilement, and again, allow access to worshipers and people who bring offerings. The offerings are consistently about purging, cleansing sacred space so that the people are accepted into sacred space, or at least onto some part of sacred space, to bring their offering, regardless of whatever kind of offering it is. So the blood of the one goat is applied to the tabernacle itself. I like to compare the Day of Atonement to hitting the reboot button on your computer, because that's exactly what it did. It resets the tabernacle. You did this once a year. It resets the tabernacle to its original pristine conditions so that it can be used for another year. It's a reboot. It's a do-over. It's a renewal of the starting point. It's about sacred space. It's not about people. The blood is never applied to people. Now, the second goat, what is that? That is not sacrificed. We don't have an offering, sacrificed to some foreign god. What the priest does with it is he lays his hands on the head of the second goat, and he symbolically transfers the sins, the impurities, everything that would defile sacred space and be an offense to Yahweh is transferred to the head of the goat, and then the goat is sent off where? Into the wilderness, to Azazel. What's the logic?
When Dr. Michael Heiser explains why the second goat is sent into the wilderness to Azazel, the logic becomes chilling. The wilderness is anti-Eden, the domain of a dark, hostile being. All impurity is driven back to him. This moment reveals the true terror behind Azazel's role. He is not symbolic, but a real demonic power whose realm swallows everything unfit for God's presence.
Well, this is where sin belongs. This is where impurity belongs. It doesn't belong in the camp of Yahweh. Much less sacred space. It doesn't belong anywhere here in Yahweh's people, because Yahweh's people themselves are sanctified. They are set apart from other peoples. Okay, they're not, to worship other gods, obviously, but they're not. They even have their own land. Okay, they're completely separated. They're to be a kingdom of priests and a holy, a set apart nation. So once a year, we're going to hit the reboot button, and we're going to send all of the impurities, all the things that are anti-Eden, back to anti-Eden. Because Eden, the camp, the holy company, the holy family, again, God's domain needs to be purified. And we reset the tabernacle so that as we go, and people become ritually impure by, maybe they touch a dead carcass or a woman in her menstrual cycle. We could talk about all these things, what the logic is. None of those things have to do with moral failure or moral impurities. They're not sins, okay? What they are is there are things that happen to people that render them ritually impure. And all the things in the Levitical system that render someone ritually impure are things that are unavoidable in life. They're not designed to teach the Israelites anything about how awful they are. They're designed to teach the Israelites how human they are and how other, non-human, how above human God is. This is the point. This is the logic of the system. We've sort of read New Testament forgiveness and sacrifice of Jesus' terminology back into the Old Testament, and therefore we don't understand what's going on here. What we should do is understand what's going on here and then read that into New Testament material. That typically isn't what happens. We do the reverse, and it creates a lot of confusion. Again, this isn't a class session on the priesthood and the sacrificial system, but again, we're getting into this a little bit here, just in sort of the most dramatic example here with the Day of Atonement. You put impurity and sin and defilement, and whatever label you want to put on it, everything that is anti-Eden, you cleanse the sacred space, you reboot the community, and you take all that stuff that is incompatible with the presence of God, and you put it out there because that's where it belongs.
The video ends with a clear picture of what Dr. Michael Heiser reveals. The Day of Atonement was never just a ritual, it was a dramatic spiritual act. One goat restores God's sacred space, and the other is driven into the wilderness, into the hands of Azazel. For me, this moment intensifies the terrifying reality of Azazel himself, showing him not as a symbol, but as a true dark power outside God's realm. If you enjoy this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel.